This is a Digital Advocate Short. I'm Nick Nichols, coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas. Today, we're going to talk about a beginning website. What do you do when you have a little hobby business that suddenly you wake up one morning and it's grown into a real business? How do you take that and move to the web? Our guest today is going to be well, I guess we would call him a longtime friend because I've known him for many, many, many years. But we kind of, as many people do in life, go our separate ways until about a year ago. Who I'd like to introduce today is the guy that will always be coach to me, Dave Carlisle. And Dave, we're going to bring you in here on Skype. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Hey, Nick, how are you?
Dave was my... and we said we were going to do this without getting emotional, but it ain't going to happen. Dave was my football, basketball, and track coach when I was in elementary school, and he was also my sixth grade teacher. Now, Dave was that first person that was really a father figure to me outside of my own father, who was a really great figure. So he had some big shoes to live up to. But about a year ago, we reconnected on Facebook, and we have a love that suddenly I didn't realize that we shared, and that's Adirondack chairs. Now, Dave, here's a picture of my Adirondack chair. And it's, well, it's a little beaten. The reason that we've got the picture of this chair in the street is because my wife keeps threatening to kick it out. I bought that chair about 20 years ago, like when the very first Christmases came around that you could buy stuff online. I put it together, and I've kept it all these years. You can tell it's a little bit wore out. But now, Dave...
You might need a new one, Nick.
Yeah, I might need a new one. We may need to talk about that. But now when Dave says Adirondack chairs, this is what Dave has in mind. There you go. That's probably a little bit better of an Adirondack chair, I'm thinking. He's got these. He's got a red one. He's actually even made some coolers, I think. There you go. So, Dave, tell us a little bit about your business and how it became what it is now and how it kind of grew out of something that you just did in the garage.
Well, first of all, Nick, straighten up. Pull your chair up a little closer to the chalkboard.
Okay.
Turn around. Quit talking. I wanted to get you in the right mood. See.
There you go, Coach.
Well, you know, Nick, I graduated. I retired. I did graduate, I guess, finally from school. I retired about 3 years ago. I taught for 14 years, 10 in Anderson at 10th Street School, where you and I met, of course. And then we moved to Tennessee, and I taught for 4 years in Shelby County, which is the outskirts of Memphis.
Right.
Then I became a principal, and I was at the same school for 29 years as a principal. So I retired in 2013 and started. And woodworking was a hobby, but had very little time for it with schoolwork, but had a little bit of time. And I was on the golf course one day after I retired, and someone called me and said, "Could you make some Adirondack chairs for us?" I had never done an Adirondack chair, but when I got home, I looked up some plans and found some good plans. So when I made the chairs and delivered them, someone else saw them and said, "Ooh, would you make some for me?" So I thought,
yeah, well, and that happens to a lot of hobby guys. I think they go out, they deliver one. If they're really good, then all of a sudden, boom, they've got a business.
So I wasn't really expecting that, but I told her, well, that was a gift for this friend over here, but if I did it for you, you're a friend too, but I have to charge you. She said, "That's okay, I'll pay." And so that's kind of the way it started, and that was about 200 chairs ago. About 6 months later, someone asked me to do a rustic cooler, and I wasn't really sure what that was, but I looked it up. I found some plans online and started building coolers, and I've done about 200 coolers. I think I counted the other day, 193 coolers. Someone asked me to make a stand for their Yeti cooler. I didn't really know what a Yeti cooler was. I looked it up. It's like a $400 grizzly bear proof cooler. It keeps ice for like 10 days, So
that's crazy.
So I made about 75 Yeti stands for Yeti owners, and I've made dog beds and a bunch of other things since then. So I've been staying really, really busy and for retirement, I think so. But it's been fun and get to wear blue jeans and tennis shoes instead of shirt and tie.
There you go. Now we started talking I guess actually really about only 3 or 4 days ago, when I had mentioned to you that, hey, you're getting to the point that you really need to consider a website. Now, you've got a Facebook page, and if Scott could be so kind here, we'll pull it up here on my laptop, and I'll show you kind of, he's got a nice little Facebook page. It goes through and shows some of the products that he's made, and he tracks it in there. But I think you've kind of outgrown just plain old Facebook. Would that be true?
Well, possibly. I found all these sales sites on Facebook. My daughter helped me figure that out. And there's, we live right outside of Memphis. Memphis is a big city, West Tennessee area. And so there's probably about 50 Facebook sales sites, Arlington Resale, Germantown Resale, all of these Facebook sites. So that's basically what I started selling on. And it's been pretty amazing. I've stayed so incredibly busy just from that. But then someone mentioned, well, you're doing so well just in this area. What if you had a good website and people everywhere could order? And I said, well, these things are so big and heavy, I don't think they're really shippable. So in the meantime, my friend who's working with me and I had gotten together, and we figured out how to make the chair a folding Adirondack. We figured out how to make the cooler, how to break it down and make it into a smaller box. So we're having the box guy design boxes for both of those items. So if we get that done, there's no reason why we couldn't offer this on a shippable basis.
Well, there you go, and then that's kind of where we're going to start today. What I'd like to do today is kind of go through real quick and show the people what we'll do and how we'll take a step forward to and how we'll build your website real quick. So if you got a few minutes, then we'll sit back and we'll just walk through this here. All right. So obviously the first thing that we need to do is to find a domain name. Now, you and I had talked a little bit about this, and what were we going to try? Was it
just simply Dave's Adirondacks?
Dave's. So the first thing that you do, and I'm sorry, people, I missed that first step, is that you go to someplace like GoDaddy. Now, I like GoDaddy because, well, they sponsor race cars and, digital advocate cars, all that type of stuff. But GoDaddy's got a very simple web page here, and it makes it really easy for somebody to buy their own domain name. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to GoDaddy. Right up top, they have a search bar. We're going to go into that search bar, and we're going to type, search a domain, Dave's Adirondacks.
Spell it right, Nick.
I know. It's the pressure of the teacher watching over you. All right, so we've got Dave's Adirondacks. Does that look right? That looks right to me. .com. And we're going to run a quick search. And look at that. Yes, your domain is available. Dave's Adirondacks. So now the next step is basically you select it. And then if you have other names that you wanted to buy, you'd click on those. And then you go up here and you click continue to the shopping cart. So it's going to pull up the shopping cart. Now at this time, if you don't have an account, they're going to ask you to put in your name and your email address and stuff for an account. But of course, the Digital Advocate's got many accounts on here. So we're going to go through and they're going to try to sell you a bunch of extra things. But all of this you really don't need. All you really need to do in the first step is just grab this domain name. So step number 2 is just continue to the cart. And it's going to tell you about all these other domain names. They're going, well, they come up sometime in the near future. And then they're going to hit you with, okay, 5 years, $62. That wasn't really what we had in mind. So you use the drop-down menu. You drop down to 1 year. There you go. 1 year, Dave's Adirondacks, $12.99. They hit you for some taxes. You can obviously round up to charity. And, of course, we always round up to charity. So now it's $14 even. You proceed to checkout. You're going to have to agree to their terms. Now, we've got all sorts of ways to pay for things in here that we've set up. But if not, you can just simply grab your PayPal account, use your PayPal account, and place your order. There you go. Payment was successful. We now own Dave's Adirondack chairs, buddy.
Uh-oh. Trouble now.
Now we're moving. So one of the other things that you and I talked about, and the basis of a lot of websites, is a product called WordPress. WordPress is really the way that you build the actual foundation, the actual website that you see. There's and most of all that's done in the background by the digital advocate. So we're going to kind of get through that, and we've talked about what we're going to use and how we're going to go about it. And it just so happened that I have another client over in Ireland. His name is Pippin, and we're going to show you that site real quick. Now, Pippin's site, Pippin paints women's high heel shoes amongst a bunch of other things. So it's a little bit different than Adirondack chairs, but it's very similar in the structure of the website. You've got a home page. You've got a page over here that you pull that has an about, where it comes up and it tells a little bit about Pippin, gives his life story. Now, Pippin was fortunate enough that he actually had a video made, and so it's on this page too. And then it goes over to a portfolio section. And in the portfolio section, this is where we would do like your chairs and your coolers and things like that. He's got a little cottage here that he's done in the past. Pulls up some pictures, tells a little bit about the cottage. But then obviously the reason for this is to go to a store. Now, Pippin's store is not quite done yet, but we've got another store that we've been working on, and that's called LV Wedding Connection. And we pull up LV Wedding Connection, and you can see the layout where this has proposals. We'd have chairs. Where it has celebrations, we'd have coolers. So we're going to use a very similar layout to that, but that's kind of steps ahead. So the next question is, what do we do at this point to move to the next step? Okay. So what I'm going to do at this point is give you a little bit of homework, Coach.
Uh-oh.
And let's start with a couple things that we need in order to move forward. And the first one is that, and here's where the fun comes in. I get to give you an assignment. Okay. Right. So I need you to write me an essay, Coach. How's that? Okay, and in that essay, I need you to kind of tell me a little story about how your business came along. Basically what you just told us. We're going to use that to put on your about page. You're going to gather a bunch of pictures for me. And we've already talked about getting those together. And then the next thing is I want you to come up with 6 projects. 6 things that you can kind of tell a story around. And I think probably maybe the dog beds might be a good thing for one of them, where somebody came to you and said, hey, I've got this dog and he needs a bed, that type of thing. So we're going to talk about those, and we'll highlight those in your portfolio. And then at that point, what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll reshoot another session. We'll talk about how this has moved from just getting the name and getting the start and moving on down the road. So with that, we're going to take the Digital Advocate short. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, Coach.